Doug Benson in studio on Bennington.
Go to it because Doug loves movies.
Yeah, I know you can, whatever you're listening to this on, you can also use to go to my site right now. Stare at it. Nothing happens on it. It doesn't make any noises, so you can still continue to listen.
Doug is on a 365, a movie a day for 365 days.
Well, no, the idea is last year I tried movie a day and just, that day happens.
Right.
You just can't get a damn movie in. So I amended it and started over again this year to 365 movies in 365 days.
So you will catch up if you need be.
When I go to a film festivals, when I catch up, like I went to South by Southwest this year and in 4 or 5 days saw about 20 movies. So that I'm still way behind.
Yeah.
Then you have a break,
I'm on like 86 now. What should I be on, Ron? How many days into the year are we, smart guy?
I think that we're 97 days into the year.
I would not bet against that.
Yeah. So
that's
we should
how
be
good
fine.
you are.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those guys. I have that thing like the lady from Taxi where I just know what day is what.
Oh, you're Mary Lou Henner disease?
Yeah, I have the Mary Lou Henner's thing. So, I can always remember when I got my bike. That was on Christmas.
Wow.
Or then years later when I got a smoking jacket. Also on Christmas.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I'm guessing you just remember things that happen on major holidays.
Okay, so some of that, which is like having a little bit of Mary Lou Henner.
She could pull the weirdest anything from the weirdest dates, and she's a nut.
You got to know what day of the week it was, though, too. That's the good trick.
Yeah, I never could do that. I don't know what day of the week it is most time. Like somebody I'll say, I go, well, since today is Friday, and they'll be like, no, it's Wednesday. But there is a lot of times I will come back in here on Saturdays and be like, really? Where the fuck is everybody? And I'm like, oh, we don't do shows on Saturdays.
When's the next leap year, Ron?
That's a good point. Now, leap year is a day that you have an extra day.
Yeah, you have a whole extra
You always
They
have an
add
extra
that one day in February.
Yeah, in February, so it's February 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were born on February 29th, you probably still can't drink, no matter how old you are, legally.
No.
So
I don't think they do it that way when they look at your ID. I think they see the year.
Would.
Yeah.
In my bar, I'd say, I'm sorry. I cannot have you in here.
No way.
Yeah.
I can't believe that leap year babies can't drink at Bennington.
Sad. It's sad.
No.
I go, I'm sorry, sir. You're
feel so
only
bad for them.
6. Get out.
What do you think you are?
Yeah.
We don't serve your kind.
You leapies. You leapies. And then we treat it like the Purge, where like every leap year you could go around and beat somebody who was born on leap year.
I'd sign up for that right now.
Because the Purge is getting blamed for stuff in Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's a copycat thing.
Well, they started it.
Purge invented rioting.
It's a newfangled idea.
There was none of that before the Purge.
The Purge came along. People went, wait a second.
I just feel
lawlessness. I like the sound of that.
I just feel bad that so many of these kids missed the real theme of the Purge and saw it as an optimistic, positive movie.
Right. And also, did they miss in the Purge that the impoverished go after the rich?
Yes.
They don't set their own shit on fire.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know any rich people. That's the problem with them.
Right.
They've never left their neighborhood.
They gotta go
Chris
for a
Stanley,
walk.
you are from a neighborhood that you haven't gotten out of much in your life.
No, not at all. Still living in the same neighborhood.
But do you not feel like a person when you leave a store? Do you feel like, oh, I don't belong here on Fifth Avenue?
I feel weird, yeah. Like, I feel weird. If I go out of the city or, in like nice neighborhoods, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
They're staring at me. They don't like my kind around here.
And we don't.
Oh, okay. So I should be feeling those things.
Yes.
And it gives you the urge to purge.
Yeah. I'm like, why don't I just throw a trash can through this window?
Good.
And start taking whatever I can.
I feel the urge. The urge, the purge.
On the West Coast, the In-N-Out Burger had bumper stickers that they gave out to people, and it became quickly very popular to scratch up your bumper sticker and make it so it says, that you like the In-N-Out urge. Hey, I got a question for you, Ron.
Yeah.
The New York City Radio City Music Hall Spring Spectacular.
Yeah.
Is it?
It is absolutely spectacular.
You seen it?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it, but they're giving money to me to talk about it. And
really?
Yeah, everything that you love about
Are
Christmas.
you launching into a live read?
Yes, everything that you love about Christmas is now available to you in the spring. So if you're bringing your family here in the spring, there's nothing like New York in spring. New York in spring, that's love. New York Spring Spectacular.
I did see some glitzy bowler hats.
Yeah.
So that looks like it's going to be great.
It is. No,
I hear it's just got. It's one of those things where there's just everything happens.
Everything
you
happens.
can do in a theatrical presentation occurs between
it's
the
3D,
beginning and the end.
You're in it, you're out of it. It's just beautiful.
There's holograms.
Yeah,
There's
there's holograms.
Celebrity cameos.
Yeah, there's girls with long legs kicking them at the same time.
Big numbers. I really like that. What's her? Laura Benanti.
Yeah, Laura Benanti.
There's something about her.
Yeah.
Have you
Look
ever
her
heard
out
her
for us,
talk and sing?
Yeah.
Like when she does her own shows.
Yeah.
Like, she's really funny.
She is, well, she's not only spectacular, she's a spring spectacular.
Benanti.
Laura Benanti.
So you're thinking about going to see the show?
Yeah, because I saw tomorrow and tomorrow's Wednesday and Thursday they have 11 a.m. shows. And I got nothing to do at 11 a.m. It's right there.
Yeah, it is right there. You could leave Opie's show and go walking right out the door.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing Opie's show tomorrow or not. It's a cliffhanger at this point.
Oh, that's exciting.
Because they didn't know if they want to be back or not. But also, I wouldn't mind not coming in tomorrow. I'm happy to do it, but I wouldn't mind not coming in because I'm doing... Do you know Jay Okerson's late night podcast, Legion of Skanks?
Legion of Skanks,
Have you done that?
They just asked me now. They probably think that you fell out or I fell out and you're doing it. But it's great. It's like...
They asked you to do it tonight?
Yeah.
Well, come do it with me tonight.
Well, I would love to. It's just that I'm booked to do something else tonight. But here's the thing. This is how you have to see this. There's a bunch of skanks, right? Uh-huh. And they're always around. But now they pull together in a legion. Almost like a Roman legion.
All right.
Okay.
Where they're walking in step.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to write back.
I didn't know the Skanks were that out of control.
Oh,
That they needed to be...
I'm going to write back to
They
them
need
now.
to be legionized.
I want to do it, but as long as Doug Benson's not there.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun little game of power.
Yeah.
See what happens.
You see what happens.
If
They'll have to choose.
I would laugh so hard if they canceled me. That would make me so happy.
Well,
Doug
This
Benson's
is my
in studio.
sneaky way of getting out of the gig.
His new album's promotional tool comes out Tuesday, June 9th on iTunes, and Doug Loves Movies is happening tonight at the Gramercy Theater in New York City. Go to douglovesmovies.com for tickets and more information.
boy, I love movies still.
It's like cheating, isn't it? That I have a podcast about loving movies, like I'm special, like I'm
Right.
such a unique individual. This guy likes movies. What an interesting character.
Well, you're right on the cutting edge
trait.
of this 100-year-old art form.
I was the only one who loved movies.
I thought that was my thing.
I have certain movies that I only need to see parts of. I do not even, like, if I just come across it and I'm in the middle of that movie, I'm just as happy as if I catch it from any part.
Yeah, I got that with Boogie Nights. I can put Boogie Nights can go on at any time.
Yeah, any part of that movie's pretty watchable, except for when it gets really heavy and the music just turns into a dirge for like 10 minutes. That part I could live without.
But
But
like right after Sister Christian, when everything was really falling apart. Yeah.
Gets pretty dark there.
By the way, I get that way with Goodfellas when he's so fucking wired on coke. He's just looking in the sky and shit. I'm like, I don't need a.
yeah,
I don't need to go
I
back
could
there.
just Goodfellas. I wouldn't have minded a happy ending on Goodfellas. Like I would have minded if he just went on to continue to be a successful gangster and didn't have to go to jail.
To me, the perfect Goodfellas would have been Joe Pesci walks in that room and everyone yells, "Surprise!
You're in.
You are a made man. We're going. There's no one going to shoot you in the back of the head.
We're going to
You're
commit
the best
crimes.
ever."
We're going to commit crimes forever together.
Because I think he would have been good at it.
Oh, he was
if they would
great.
have gave him the chance. Do you have a kind of a Frankenstein movie you only need to see a part, Gail?
Yeah, I would say for me it would be Tombstone.
Good
I'm
one.
happy
Whoa.
to come in
Yeah.
at any point.
What a spectacular, sprawling cast that one has.
Yeah.
and also so great that nobody confuses it with Wyatt Earp.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, because those were competing Wyatt Earp
They came out at the
movies.
same time.
And yet there's no contest. It's always Tombstone.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Well,
Although Dennis Quaid gave Val Kilmer a run for his money because he did the same thing.
He did the
where
same thing, but
got
wasn't
all
as sexy.
gaunt.
Yeah.
He didn't do it as sexily, yeah. Wasn't it?
because
wasn't
everybody
a charming gaunt guy.
There was a lot of back then. A lot of guys were like, if I had to be with a guy, if they were doing the, I'm not gay, but if I had to be a guy,
Yeah.
it would be with Doc Holliday. I'd be his Huckleberry.
I followed Val Kilmer into his shoe store once.
All right, that you shouldn't even admit. That's a weird thing.
And it
to
was
do.
like
She
current
needed
Val
some
Kilmer. And I don't
shoes.
care.
Yeah.
I still wanted to take a peek.
Was he? Was he
I held the
exciting?
Yeah, I mean, he looks the way he looks now. I
Yeah.
don't care. I accept Val Kilmer as is, but I actually held up a man's shoe and hid my face like this while I stared at him over a huge man's shoe, just trying to pretend like I was looking.
You weren't looking at him.
No.
He toured in a show for a while, like as Moses or something, didn't he?
He was
Yeah,
Val
he
Kilmer?
might have.
I think so. He was in some sort of religious epic that toured around.
I like everything about Val, though. I like him when-
He's, that's the thing is you can't ever count him out because he was pretty down and out when Kiss Kiss Bang Bang came along, and that movie's terrific.
love it.
I don't know why people turned on him.
Yeah,
He
they
was
did.
well
'Cause he's-
because he
he's,
got a little puffy. They get mad if people get puffy.
It's you they want out
Well,
there.
isn't
Val.
he also a character? Isn't he? Yeah, doesn't he have his moments?
Yeah, I agree 100% on the Kiss Bang Bang. I think he played Gay Perry in that or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and he was fucking hysterical, and he was
He's just
great.
a good actor.
Yeah.
It's fun to see him in MacGruber as a Kunth.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah, I like that guy. I do.
do you remember the first movie that really turned you on, where you got it more than just entertainment, but you're like, I am going to carry this movie with me the end of my life?
Oh, that's an
Because I
interesting
can.
question.
I can remember.
Yeah, it's always
I know.
easy to answer your own question.
Yeah, you got me there, Doug. There's no doubt. I had a little bit of time to really think this over. But I remember, like, it being the first time I thought to myself, well, okay, they decided to make this differently because it was a Western and it was Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Chris Christopherson plays Billy the Kid. Bob Dylan is in it. James Colburn. And I remember just thinking, this isn't easy for me to view. I'm going to be carrying this around now. And here, all these years later, I still think about that movie. That's rare. And I don't know whether you get that again in adulthood. You know what I mean? I think it's only something that can happen to you once.
I had a really bad one in high school when I was a junior in high school. I'm looking back on it, I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much. But American Beauty, when I was a junior in high school, it
meant something to you.
It's something. But then I rewatched it like a couple of months ago. I was like, this movie's terrible.
Because you saw your kid. You were a weed dealer. You used to video stuff.
All the time.
You thought that you were more than the concept.
They should do like an award show for movies that don't hold up anymore.
I know.
The Holdies. And American Beauty was sweet.
Every year it would sweep.
It's so...
Still isn't holding up.
Yeah.
Once again,
Yeah.
American Beauty.
And he won an Oscar for that, and people complain about it now. And he's like, Jesus.
Well,
this
he's
was-
so great, though.
Yeah.
That's part of why American Beauty, I think, worked at the first time around. Is Spacey's so good,
Yeah.
that you just somehow go along on the ride that he's like trying
I
to
love his
fuck
wife,
the little
too,
girl
in it,
next
man.
door or whatever.
Her performance, Annette Bening.
Yeah, she's
her
amazing.
Performance totally still is incredible.
It's great, but it's the whole thing is just really cartoonish.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
And just like each little scene just plays out so perfectly. You know, when he says, I cringe when Kevin Spacey says, I rule. After he's like, fuck you, I'm going to lay around all day and smoke weed. It's like, this guy's not representing the weed culture very, very well. Because that scene is great when he's with the waiter kid outside, Wes Bentley. They're outside the restaurant, and he's like smoking again for the first time in a while and talking about Reanimator.
Right.
That's a really fun scene, and really like the only thing I think I like in the movie, other than that, those little young ladies, Thora Birch
Well, the little
Of
blonde
Ghost World fame. Whatever happened to her?
had a bad dad that ruined her
Dad
career.
situation.
Bad
He
dad.
was nuts.
Yeah.
He would just talk shit to the directors of any set she was on.
She's still out there doing stuff now, though, as a young adult, isn't she?
Yeah, Straight to Video. She's calling her. He's got a production company called Straight to Video. I think he shoots it on the iPhone, and you can see it on Pow Talk or whatever.
You can stream
But
it.
she could have been.
Can you imagine now skipping VOD and skipping right away to
I think we'll be
home
at that
video
point.
sales?
I think that we'll be at the point where you can watch a movie being shot live and feel like you're a part of it.
Oh,
you
that
know?
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're watching a lot of streaming stuff these days.
Yeah.
So why not just watch the shooting of the movie?
Yeah, just watch
maybe
it.
donate to keep watching, like have a Kickstarter for the movie while the movie's being
You're getting the
made.
dailies.
Yeah, you're getting the dailies. You're like,
dailies?
Get some input into the dailies. What you think?
If I'm going to keep my Kickstarter money in there, I want us to make some changes. I want more action.
Be sending in my notes.
Yeah. Now, do you still see movies in the theater, or do you just like to see movies at home?
I just have to mix it up. So for the for the 365 movies challenge, I'm like Netflix, in a theater, on a plane, at home, like wherever I can get in. Each day, I kind of plot my day around when can I fit in a movie, and
Now, a plane, I believe movies are more emotional when you're in a plane.
Oh,
That
interesting.
A sad movie is sadder, and a funny movie is funnier. And when we all used to watch the movie at the same time, I would watch people go crazy over comedies and just be like, yeah. And if anything comes up slightly sad, sometimes even a commercial, you're just wiping tears away.
I had that experience on a flight out to LA once where I watched My Sister's Keeper. It's like a cancer movie, a kid with cancer movie,
geez.
and I was bawling for the entire
Right.
flight. And at the end, almost felt embarrassed. Who saw me cry to this movie? Who could see me?
oh, that has that famous Mexican actress in it, Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz.
Yes, she's in that. I don't. That's an interesting theory. I'm just kind of, I fly quite a bit, so I'm just kind of thinking about it, whether or not I'm more emotional, whether or not I think everyone around me is more emotional, and I haven't really thought of it before.
I remember one time I was watching, how they'll just show you little clips of CBS shows, and we high-fived during the King of Queens episode. And I'm not even kidding. We thought it was the funniest shit. We were like, yes! Woo! And then that made me did that thing. Later, I remember it was on at 7 o'clock. I'm like, you got to see this King of Queens. Throwing everybody in.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And it didn't have the same impact. But I think there's something about just changing,
Maybe that's where people get hooked on the Big Bang Theory.
Right.
It's on flights, because it's always on planes.
It is up there on planes, and you're glad to have it. You're glad
It's
to
like
have any of
watching
it.
a short little play about these 4 or 5 characters that that just sit around this one apartment. It's really kind of phenomenal how simple that show is, and yet also so popular.
Yeah, but it's like nerdy Friends. You could sell that thing really quickly.
Everyone relates to the weird little pouting that they're always doing. Somebody's always over on somebody else, and
And then
they have to have this kind of a weird nerd apology, which is to no hugs and just sort of each staring off at a wall, sort of apologizing, and then they move on with their lives.
Well, there's also mathematics to that of how many jokes go into a show like that, and how the jokes are divided up, and everybody, there's a perfect balance of kind of, I can laugh and not think at all as I'm watching this. It's the same comfort we had when we were little kids and they were reading us a storybook that we already know. You know what I mean? We understand the rhythm of that kind of comedy.
Yeah, and the laughter, for the most part, doesn't bug you, because it's, it's just nice to know.
It's just expected.
We're supposed to laugh after every sentence. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it. I
Yeah.
see how this works. And then you get into the rhythm of it,
Yeah. I'm part of this.
But is there going to be a generation of young people who aren't used to hearing that canned laughter? Is that going to get dated very...
I don't think
It might, because the biggest hit sitcoms right now are all on like CBS. They're all on the network that just because they're number one doesn't mean young people are watching it. You know, like it's all old people, you know, watching Mike and Molly and that one. So yeah, maybe it will get, because what's a sitcom that's on right now that's 3 camera that appeals to young people? Is there such a thing? I mean,
Well,
Big Bang Theory probably, but that's it.
See, there's
Broke Girls.
Yeah, Broke Girls is probably that, but I don't know. It might even be to middle-aged people who feel like they're watching. But there's also tons of these kind of sitcoms that are for like 10-year-old girls.
Right.
Like,
so that's how they're getting indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Like the Zoe Deschanel one?
No, even before.
She's a little older than 10.
Yeah.
No, he's talking about like what made Miley Cyrus so huge and what made
like
Selena Gomez so
like
big.
the Disney.
What made Demi Lovato so big. All these girls get so big off of these terrible little, not terrible, but they're for children, sitcoms.
But my niece and nephew, they called up and they were furious about the Nickelodeon Awards of who should have won and who didn't.
Who was ripped
Yeah,
off.
they sound like us at the Oscars, right? And I had never heard of any of these shows, but most of them have twins in it. There's always twins. They just love being with twins. Howie said that This American Life talked about emotions and airplanes. Go ahead, Howie.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good.
Good. Well, like you mentioned already, This American Life just recently did have a podcast, and it was concerning in particular people's emotions in the air. And in particular, it was like a 20-minute segment they had, and they were speaking how the most inane movies and even the commercials, as you would mention, where there's any kind of an emotional part, people just start bawling in the air, you know, much more frequently than they would on.
And the reason is what, though?
They really didn't go into that. They did have.
See, that seems like
they didn't get any farther than us.
Time ever that This American Life dropped the ball. We have no idea, and we refuse to research this.
Is it because everything is just precarious? Like it just feels like you're floating through the air. Anything could happen to you. You're completely out of control of your body. Like, what's going to happen?
Could be, or something about the way your brain feels at different heights. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's the place to do a stand-up special is in the air, or let people know that a beloved person has died. Right. You know. Here is Ronnie in California.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Yeah.
What up, buddy?
Yeah. I just want to add something to the mix. I travel a lot for work, and it's something me and my coworkers always laugh about because we all get so sensitive on planes. So we think we got to figure it out. We think the reason why is, the entire process of travel, it's pretty stressful and emotional to begin with. So by the time you get to the airport, you go to security, you get on the plane, you're spent, you're drained, you're like, okay, finally, and you let go. And then you get bombarded by all these, just kind of sappy, movies and whatnot, and I think your guard is completely let down at that point, and it opens up to all these emotions that you normally.
So you're saying just from travel itself makes you more
stress,
emotional.
Stress and just the emotional aspect of the process of travel tends to open, at least let your guard down a bit more, and I think you're more apt to be, just susceptible to these emotions where if you're sitting in the comfort of your own home, you're relaxed, you're just chilling, you wouldn't feel the same thing. But up in the air, it's a pretty stressful thing to travel. So, I don't know.
Even when you don't realize that you're stressed, you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
That's it. Just wanted to add that.
All right, peace.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't want to fight with a guy, but I don't agree.
I admire the fact that you're like, I don't want this to take bigger than it is right now. I disagree with him, but I'm going to wait till he's gone so I don't.
There's no reason to have an argument about it. I just don't agree. Let's say, what about long layovers? You're sitting in the airport. Are you laughing harder and crying harder at that stuff?
No.
You're traveling, you're stressed. I don't know if stress and travel is the full package. I think there's something more to it. I think this guy turned the show off, This American Life. I think whoever watched it turned it off 10 minutes early.
First of all, there are two different colors. But second,
I know that. Yeah.
But secondly,
but they're both wrong in different ways.
I think that your point was so good that you could have put it in a debate. You didn't have to wait until later because it is a good response that you had to him.
Right, but I don't. I didn't call up to get grilled about.
No, I love. You could start
people are just trying to help with some little info, and then suddenly they're on the hot seat.
You could start hey kids, you don't have to debate club.
Come on, let's not argue. You're wrong. Let's leave it at that.
All right, here is Tom in New Jersey, and he has a question for Doug. Go ahead.
All right, guys. How you doing? First of all, I want to say, can we call you guys a Gale Force Bennington?
Okay, we can. We'll do that.
All right, nice. I got a moral conundrum for you.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I'm a teacher. I was arrested about a few months ago for marijuana, and it looks like it's going to go away.
Oh, okay. I mean, yes.
I've noticed over the past month or two, my wife and I are fighting a lot more than we usually did, and we both stopped. And it looks like I'm going to get away with this scot-free, keep my job, blah, 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 nothing. But should we keep smoking pot to save the marriage, or should we do something else?
Well, are you high right now, man?
I wish.
I was going to say, you sound so wound up for a guy that's talking about all the weed he smokes. I'm betting that you're both better off when you're high.
Nah, you know what? I got to say, we've been about a month now without it. And I just noticed we're spiteful a little bit. We're going at it a little bit more than we usually did.
You're paying attention that the other person's there. Mm-hmm. That's your problem right now.
Yeah.
The other person's in the room.
You need to focus on ignoring each other.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So you think we should have a child? Maybe that
wow. That's a great idea.
Child is a gateway
drug. If there's any problems at all, get a kid.
Yeah.
That's definitely the answer.
Total relationship Band-Aid.
All right.
You should name your baby Band-Aid.
I think before everybody has a baby, because it's such a big, you should adopt one. That way, if it doesn't work out, you're not that attached.
And name it Tester. And drive around the block a few times.
Tester! Get in here. We want to see how we're all interacting.
Yeah.
Tester
see how this is working out.
Can I return this thing?
Don't like this, Tester.
If this kid's first word isn't my name, I'm turning him in.
Chris, you and your chick have been thinking about having a baby, right?
No.
Is that right?
No.
Wow.
No, where did that rumor come from?
Would you adopt? Do you think there's no possible way they would let you adopt a child?
I'd like to see just what the process is to adopt, sure. To see how far I can get into it before they fucking shit can that.
Does she want to have a kid?
No.
You sure?
But she teaches kids, right?
Yeah, she's a tutor, yeah.
So she likes to teach them, but not just hang out with them.
No, actually, today there was a group of sixth graders coming up, like walking around the studio. That was just like, this is a sixth grader sentence. Seems like it's hellish. They just seem so stupid.
Well, they only got a sixth grade education. I mean, you don't run into many people who've only had a sixth grade education.
No, but they're also loud and just crazy. I read up in an elevator with them. It was very uncomfortable.
I would get out of an elevator if there was a bunch of sixth graders.
I should have.
I'd be like, I'll take the next one.
Should have just barreled past them.
Super easy to do in this building, too.
Yeah.
Jump out
Just
of the
get
elevator.
out. There's 7 more. There's 7 more. And I'll just say, I don't want to be with all you people. I will even tell
Our
people
relationship is ended.
I will actually
now.
even tell people the elevator is already full when other people try to get in. So I'll go, no, there's other elevators. This is enough.
Get the next one.
You said that the other day.
Yeah.
You'd take the next one. He's just standing at the front.
It's a cattle car.
I know the numbers. Get out.
It'd be dangerous if you come anywhere near this car.
By the way, this is all part of the Spring Spectacular that's going on at Radio City.
Really?
It's got everything.
It's got podcasting,
It's got-
radio, and
Everything. The one day it will be called Podcasting City. As radio is getting smaller and smaller. Hey, look, kids, it's Mark Maron. You know what I mean? Just all the
he's
great
across the
podcasters.
street at the Podcaster City Hut.
So you were at South by Southwest and saw 20 movies while you were there.
I think, give
Yeah.
or take. But yeah, I saw I'd get in at least 3 or up to 5 a day while I was there. So maybe more than 20 because I was there for 8 days.
What was the standout movie for you?
Well, I think one that you might be fascinated by is this movie called Love and Mercy. Mm-hmm. You know what that is?
No, I don't know about it
It's I'm sure you've heard of it because it's the movie where it's all about Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And Paul Dano plays him as a young songwriter with his brothers, the Beach Boys, and then John Cusack plays him as older Brian Wilson, who's drugged up by his manager keeper guy, and and it's the story that I never knew that. I always just knew that I wasn't really a fan of the Beach Boys, and that I didn't understand because Twitter and stuff didn't exist, but I didn't understand why. Now looking back, I remember people being mad that Brian Wilson wouldn't go out on tour with them and stuff, and how all the brothers kind of wanted to just keep making that surfer sound, and they all hated Pet Sounds. Brian wrote it, and then they all just did it because they didn't have a choice really.
Well, they didn't even record it. I mean, he did it with other musicians.
Yeah.
And they came in and sang. But I had Brian on before, and he would be with you for a moment, and then the next moment, gone. And he had done an album of Disney songs that he re-recorded himself. And, he's from L.A. when L.A. was small. You know what I mean? In the 1950s, you could just drive anywhere you wanted out there. So I said, do you remember, when you first started hearing Disney music when you were a kid? And he's like, nope. I go, you don't even remember what Disney music? No, I don't.
So,
I know you do.
You were just saying.
The kind of time it happened. Nope.
Why is he still doing interviews if it's that?
They take him around because there's money to be made still with the name Brian Wilson to this day.
Do you think he's doing a little better now? I didn't see the Q&A after the movie, but he was there at South by and spoke, so maybe he's doing a little better. Maybe they found even better.
I think he comes in and out. I do. I think he comes in and out. There's still a part of him that's trapped in this sound that was when he was a teenager. So Phil Spector and the Wall of Sound is all he'll ever think about or talk about. And he was in love with Ronnie Spector and all that. But it seemed like everything stopped for him after that. He had some kind of break, around that time. But he was abused by his father. And then, while he was in the middle of that, he just ate acid without really being prepared for it,
Yeah, all of this is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, but it's really interesting because it jumps back and forth between two very specific time periods and, two different actors playing the same person, but they...
But great casting, right?
Yeah, I mean, they don't try to, having met him as he is now... You just know he's obviously a much different person than he was when he was young and writing songs with his brothers and going on tour and stuff. He's just a different person. So having two different guys play him is doesn't really throw you off that much.
But I love Paul Dano and I love John Cusack. You know what I mean?
They're both good actors, and they both get to really hone in on a very specific time and get the real, they get the emotions right. It's a really fascinating movie. But like I said, my entryway into it was not knowing really the Beach Boys story at all, but just kind of picking it up through
Yeah.
Like it's sort of being in the background of my life growing up as a kid. I just was kind of like,
existed.
what, there's a guy that's in and out of the Beach Boys? There's has problems? What? I don't know. I don't care. It's the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
You know? And you're watching the movie and the stuff that he wrote kind of on his own without them and then pitched to them it's amazing music.
Yeah, it's
like
brilliant.
He could have had like his family just, I hope they feel eternal shame for holding him back because they were really
Yeah, it was
seemed like a bunch of dullards that just got lucky that they had one brother that could write awesome songs.
Yeah, they were like the Jacksons before their time. But the thing about Brian is he was like a young man and was in with that team of great musicians and was basically like running them like an orchestra, and they all loved him. I've talked to people.
Oh yeah, all the session musicians that came in and did Pet Sounds. They were all like, "This guy, he knows his thing."
And he was a kid,
gifted.
and he was writing charts for them, and that was like and then the rest of his brothers are out on the road. So it was like the perfect time of his life because he was being accepted for this. It's got to feel weird to be able to think about music on different levels too. Like I can kind of understand someone like James Taylor just kind of like writing a song, but to understand how to layer that and how production comes in, that's just way too deep for me, you know?
Well, yeah, he has like genius mind when it comes to stuff like that.
But they start to hear different instruments before they add them. You have to write that down when you're writing those charts. You have to know, oh yeah, and then I should have, these going in the opposite direction of what the melody is, I kind of can understand lyric and melody, but after that, it's just lost on me.
Well, that's why a lot of artists have don't do their own production. That's like a whole nother job and a whole nother, can bring stuff to it. It's like an editor working with a film director. You know, like they can just go, how about this? And they go, okay, great. Let's make it as great as we can.